crony capitalists and gentlemen. We have a couple more Hussein Obama versus Hussein Obama moments here. First one on the Export-Import Bank, which he recently reauthorized after it was passed by the House and Senate. We're getting closer to having half the Republicans vote against this egregious form of crony capitalism. We're getting closer, but not quite close enough, as most Republicans still did vote for it, but only one Democrat, and that was Sanders, who caucuses with the Democrats, voted against it. The rest of the Democrats were all in favor of this crony capitalism that they claim that they're so concerned about. We can't be giving handouts to corporations and helping out these big evil corporations. That's just not right, except when it comes to the Export-Import Bank. Well, here's Hussein Obama, back when he was a senator, talking about the Export-Import Bank. Take it away, Hussein.
And now listen, I'm not a Democrat who believes that we can or should defend every government program just because it's there. There's some that don't work like we had hoped. You know, the Bush administration spent $1 billion a year on a reading program that hasn't improved our children's reading. We should take that money and use it for things that work. There's some programs that have been duplicated by other programs that we just need to cut back. You know, like waste, the Economic Development Agency and the Export-Import Bank that's become little more than a fund for corporate welfare. I understand also there are parts of these programs that may be worth defending, and politicians of both parties will definitely do so. But if we hope to meet the challenges of our time, we have to make difficult choices. As president, I'll go through the entire federal budget, page by page, line by line, and I will eliminate the programs that do not work and are not needed so we can start providing the funding for the programs that do work and that are needed.
The argument for the Export-Import Bank goes like this. If a U.S. manufacturer wants to sell to a foreign country, the local banking regulations might pose roadblocks to it, or local interest rates might be skyrocketing, or for some whatever reason local banks might be untrustworthy or otherwise unable to cooperate with a U.S. bank, and that begs the question, why would you make the sale anyway if it's that big of a risk? And as you all know, the government will take risks that someone in the private sector won't, because the government can just get a bailout. And a lot of these corporations, as you know, that have ties with the government will take bigger risks because they know they're going to get a bailout. And Boeing and General Electric, for example, are two of the bigger customers of this Export-Import Bank, which, you know, it certainly seems like crony capitalism. Those who want to defend it, you have a big hill to climb because these are large corporations that would otherwise be able to do it on their own. They don't need assistance. So, yeah, this is absolute crony capitalism. Here's another example. First Solar is one of Hussein's failed green energy ventures, and it got funding from the Export-Import Bank, and it's a complete failure. Solandra, there's another winner too. Here's another one for you. Halliburton got loans approved through the U.S. Export-Import Bank. Halliburton lobbied for the XM loan after the State Department initially asserted that the deal with Tyumen Oil Company, a Russian company, ran counter to national interest. So we had Halliburton also getting funds through the Export-Import Bank, which is quite ridiculous in my estimation. They don't need that. Boeing receives about 44% of all Export-Import Bank handouts. I already mentioned First Solar, Solandra, Enron got subsidies. Air India got subsidies as well. General Electric gets subsidies. They don't need it. This is crony capitalism on steroids. Taxpayers could be on the hook for up to $140 billion in loans through the Export-Import Bank in fiscal year 2014. In closing, it's hard for Democrats, especially, this is a black eye for Republicans too, who all this angst towards Enron and Halliburton, which is a two among many, who engage in this crony capitalism related to the Export-Import Bank. It's going to be hard for you to defend this come election time. Any Republican that voted against it could use it as a weapon against you, since Senator Sanders was the only one that voted against it. This is a relic of the FDR administration, why I regard him as one of the worst presidents, if not the worst ever, because there's gobs of programs that he started which are still with us, and unfortunately Congress doesn't have the cojones to get rid of these programs. They just continue. They keep coming back like the Night of the Living Dead. They just never die. Like that character on Superman, Doomsday, who becomes impervious to whatever killed him before, just keeps coming back. And that's what the Export-Import Bank is. And to those who say, well, it's just a small part of the federal budget, you're right, it is. But there's a gobs of programs like that. And if we don't have the will to cut those, do we have the will to do anything? I mean, are we just going to continue to fall off this fiscal cliff? So, in my opinion, the Export-Import Bank is an easy cut. It's something that should take very little debate, and it should be taken out to pasture, taken behind the woodshed, the veritable woodshed, and gotten rid of. But here it is again, and Obama campaigned against it, and here he is reauthorizing it. And now we'll move on to another issue. Now we have Hussein Obama using, via executive order, allowing illegal immigrants who claim to have been brought here illegally by their parents, using executive orders to legalize them, to keep them from being deported. But I have to question the ability of him to do this, because, as he points out, this was a little over a year ago, Congress already has laws on the books dealing with this. You have to go through Congress first. Executive orders, in my opinion, are usually an abuse of power. But let's hear what Hussein said to Univision back in March 2011 when they asked him about what he would do about people who are here illegally and how he can help them. And listen to what he says.
Mr. President, my question will be as follows. With an executive order, could you be able to stop deportations of the students? And if that's so, that links to another of the questions that we have received through Univision.com. We have received hundreds, thousands, all related to immigration and their students. Jay Tamar, through Univision.com, told us, I'm reading, what if at least you grant temporary protected status, TPS, to undocumented students? If your answer is yes, when? And if it's no, why not?
Well, first of all, temporary protective status historically has been used for special circumstances where you have immigrants to this country who are fleeing persecution in their countries. Or there's some emergency situation in their native land that required them to come to the United States. So it would not be appropriate to use that just for a particular group that came here primarily, for example, because they were looking for economic opportunity. With respect to the notion that I can just suspend deportations through executive order, that's just not the case, because there are laws on the books that Congress has passed. And I know that everybody here at Bell is studying hard, so you know that we've got 3 branches of government. Congress passes the law. The executive branch's job is to enforce and implement those laws. And then the judiciary has to interpret the laws. There are enough laws on the books by Congress that are very clear in terms of how we have to enforce our immigration system, that for me to simply, through executive order, ignore those congressional mandates would not conform with my appropriate role as president.
My, how the outlook has changed. So it wouldn't fit his role as the executive to halt deportations via executive order, but here we have him doing it. And as Thomas Sowell pointed out, he may not be president come January 20th, so those who think they're going to profit from this, the next president may not be as nice about it, may not be as kind to them. So, not that I'm defending them, but they could get the shaft come January 20th, and that executive order could get reversed by another executive order, which I think these executive orders are ridiculous. Unless Congress does something, he can't do anything about it. But back in March 2011, he can't halt deportations via executive order, and And it didn't even fit the template of why we would do this, as he pointed out. Very well, actually. But now, times have changed, and it is getting close to an election year, so he's pandering to certain groups. He's pandering to La Raza, so he's going to try to ram this through. And he mentioned 3 branches of government. Well, for a guy who knows there's 3 branches of government, you certainly try to ignore and circumvent Congress as much as possible. Have a nice day. I did want to mention this quickly for those of you who progressives pointing out that Mitt Romney has made a living flip-flopping on every issue. Again, see my definitive Obama versus Obama collection, which this video was a part of. And you'll see that he has a pretty good pedigree when it comes to flip-flopping as well, so that will backfire on you.